HOD Creatives, welcome to another exciting tutorial on how to make this turban face cap you're seeing right here on your screen. It's a very beautiful turban cap. It's something you will not want to miss. So if this cap you're seeing right here on your screen is something you really love to learn, you need to watch this video to the end so that you'll be able to make yours. So guys, let's get right into the class.
This is poly fabric, so you can use raw silk, you can use what's it called, lycra, you can use velvets, you can use any stretchy fabric. As long as the fabric is stretchy, you can use it. So that's it for the fabric. And you need your mako. Sorry, you can use mako if you have mako, but this is carry board. This is carry board. You can use carry board, you can use straw board, you can use mako also for the upper parts. And we need paper for drafting. This is going to be later, so I'm just going to set it aside. So let's get right into the measurements. So the measurements we are going to be working with, we need three pieces of fabric, and the body of the cap, the brim at the front, and then the pieces for the loop. So those are the measurements we need. So this fabric is on fold, as you can see, is on fold. So I folded it into two because of my space, and you can see this part is on fold. So the measurement I have here is 13 inches on fold. 13 inches on fold. When I open it up, I'll have 26 inches. If I open it up, I'll have 26 inches. So take note of that. So that's for the width. That's the stretchy part. That's to be the stretchy part. So the length of the cap is 21 inches. 21 inches. So this is the length, 21 inches. 21 inches for the length. But if you are not going to pleat it the way I'm going to pleat this, you can use it. You can use 17 inches or 16 inches. You can use 16 inches or 17 inches if you are not pleating the way I'm pleating. So this excess, so this 21 is because I want to pleat the body of the cap. That is why I'm having this 21 inches. So, but if you are not pleating, you don't need to have up to 21 inches as your length. You can use 16 inches or 17 inches as your length. That's for this. Now for the small loop that we are going to be using to close it, I'll have 6.5 inches length, and it's 6.5 because it's stretchy. If yours is not stretchy, you can use 7 inches. But this is 6.5 inches, and the width on fold is 2.5 inches. So you can see it's on fold like so. So all I need to do for this, I'll just sew it and I'll bring it out to the right side. That's what I'm going to do for that. But for this, I'm going to be marking, putting some markings here. So I'm going to be marking 2.5 inches first. So this is 2.5 inches. So from this 2.5 inches now, I'll start marking 1.5, 1.5, 1.5. So I'll mark that 1.5 all the way down. I'll mark the 1.5 all the way down. So I mark my 1.5 inches all the way down. So the next thing is to notch that 1.5 inches that I mark, all those lines. So I'm just going to put some notch. So I've gone ahead to notch all the mark that I marked. So this place that I did 2.5 inches, that's this beginning. Remember this beginning that I marked 2.5 inches. So we are going to pipe it first. So I'll take it to my sewing machine. I'll just pipe it like so, tiny like this, and I'll pipe it all the way down. I'll pipe it all the way down. So you just pipe it all the way down. So you can see I've gone ahead to pipe the edge, you see it. So this is the front. So the next thing I'm going to do is start picking all these pleats, and I'll start piping them. I'll start sewing it. So I'll just pick my pleats. So by now you should know how to pleat the body of your turban. So that's exactly what I'm just going to do. I'm just going to pleat the body of the turban, and I'll be right back. So I'm done with the sewing. So this is the pleats, as you can see. So the next thing we are going to do now is to let me sew this one. So you fold it into two this way. See the way I folded it into two. You fold it into two. So this is the right side. So you just use your, I sewed this and I brought it out. So you just put it inside to the middle. So just gather it. So we are just going to sew. So you can see that I bring it to the front. So you just sew it. So I just went ahead to sew and I trim out this little excess. So this is what I have. Not too tight. You can see it's not too tight and it's not too loose. So whatever I sew is right here at the front. So let's just set this aside. Now you take your head. You're going to measure from one side ear of your head to the other side ear of your head. One side ear to the other side. So you just go ahead and measure it. So you take it all the way like this to the other side. So you can see. So I have 11 inches. So here I have 11 inches. So I'm going to be making use of this 11 inches. So I'm going to take my pattern paper, So let me just make it straight. Okay. So this 11 inches, since this paper is on fold, you can see it's on fold. So I'm going to be dividing it into two. When I divide it into two, I have 5.5. So I'm just going to place the 5.5 here. So you mark the 5.5 here. So here is 5.5. So the height of the cap, let me just mark 5 inches also. So I have 5 inches. So now this 5 inches, I'll connect it to this 5.5. So you just connect it. You can use your free hand. If you have a curve, you can curve it. So I'll just connect it this way. So from this place down here, I'll go up by, let me go up by 2.5 inches. So 2.5 inches. Yeah, or 2 3/4. Let me do 2 3/4, 2 3/4. So I'll just go by 2 3/4. So from this 2 3/4, okay, 2.5 inches is fine. Let me use 2.5 inches. So we are not using this, we are using this. So you just also connect it. You connect it all the way to this 5 inches. You can use your curve. Don't mind my jaga jaga free hand. So when you are done with this, you cut your paper. So you cut this other one. So this is what we have. Something like this. So you will now measure this place to make sure you have your 5.5. To make sure it's 5.5 that is here. So you measure it. So it's more than 5.5. So I'll just mark my 5.5 here. So and I'm just going to trim. So this, okay, so this is what we have. what we drafted. So we are going to place it on our this thing. What I have here is a little short, but I'm going to use it that way. I'll just try and maneuver it. So you just trace it out on it. You just trace your pattern that you cut out. You trace it. When you're done tracing, you just cut it out. So I'm just going to go ahead. I'll trace it out. Then when I'm done tracing, I'll cut it out. So as you can see, I've gone ahead to trace it. So the next thing I'm just going to do now is just to cut it out. Cut exactly what I traced. I'll cut it out. You're not going to add any allowance at all on the carry board. You're not adding any allowance. So we are going to be adding allowance on the fabric. So I'll go ahead and cut out the carry board, and I'll also cut it out on the fabric. So as you can see, I've gone ahead to cut it, and I added 1/2 inches allowance all around it. So it's this allowance I'm going to use to sew it. So now I'm going to take it to the sewing machine. I'm going to set this aside first. I'll take this that I cut out 2, as you can see. So I'll just sew it on this curved edge. I'll sew on my 1/2 inches allowance all the way down. I'll sew it, then I'll turn it to the right side and insert this in it. So as you can see, I've gone ahead to sew it. So I'm just going to trim off all the excess allowance of that 1/2 inches. I'll just trim it out. And careful while trimming, so you don't trim off your seam. Please ignore every noise you are hearing. I'm right here at the store, so the noise here is much, so just ignore it. Yeah, so this is what we have, and you just turn it to the right side. So I can now take my carry board and I'll insert it into the. So this is what we have. So the next thing I'm going to do now is you pull it very, it's a stretchy material, so because it's stretchy, you have you pull it. Yeah, so you just pull your 1/2 inches out and then pin it down because you sew on it. So I'm just going to pin it all the way down. When I'm done pinning, I'll take it to the sewing machine. I will sew the 1/2 inches, so to keep this brim in place, so I'll just go ahead and sew on this 1/2 inches that I pull out. I'll go ahead and sew on it. So this is just exactly what I'm going to do. So you can see it's if you're using a stretchy material, it's very easy for you to pull it out and stitch. But if you're not using the stretchy material, you had more than 1/2 inches allowance, maybe 3/4 allowance. Yeah, so but this is stretchy, so it's very easy to pull. So you can see this is what we have. So I'm just going to sew on it, not the mark. I'm not sewing on the carry board though. I'm sewing on my allowance. So this is what we have. So you can see I've sewn all on the 1/2 inches. So this is it. So you just shift the parts, the sewn part, shift it at the back. So this is going to be my back, and this neat part is going to be the front of the cap. So the next thing I'm going to do now is to take the body of the cap. Now remember, we pipe one part, which is this side. Yeah, this side. So this other side that is not piped, you're going to pin it. So you fold it into 2 from this part. So you pin from here, don't pin from here, pin from here, so that your cap can be in the same line. So I'm just going to pin it all the way to the loop. So I'll just pin. So we are going to be sewing this. So you pin it and you sew it as close as you can go. You sew it as close as you can go, and if you still having opening later after sewing, just use your needle and thread to complete it. But just sew it as close as your machine can go. So that's for this. I'm going to be sewing that. So for this front part, you are going to take your cap. You get the midpoint. You get the midpoint. So I'm just going to notch the midpoint. So this is my midpoint. I have notched it, and this loop that we made, you're also going to get the midpoint of the loop also. So here's the midpoint. So this midpoint, I'm going to be connecting it to the midpoint of this. So I'll pin it down, midpoint to midpoint I pin. So you continue pinning. So you just continue. So you pin till you exhaust this you are joining. So this is it. So I'll repeat the same thing this side. So you see the way I'm pinning it. So just watch carefully and attentively. You'll get it. It's not hard. It's a very simple cap to make. Very, very simple. Very simple, but very beautiful to rock. I so much love it. So you just go ahead and sew. You can just sew like this. Start from here. You sew it all the way to this point. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that, and I'll also sew this part. So this is what I have when I was done sewing. So you can see what I have. So this is how it looks like. So you can just go ahead and trim out this excess, trim out the excess. Then you don't have to trim out this part that is folded. Just trim out this rough one, just this rough one. You trim it out. Then this other part, you can just use it and cover this, and just use your needle and thread and hem it, invisible hemming, that it will not show here, so that your cap will look neat. So you just hem it like this, so that your cap can be neat, the front part can be neat. So that's it for this. Or you can go ahead and weave it also. You can also weave this part, and you also weave this, just to have a neat finishing inside. So the next thing we are going to do now is to fold our cap into two, like so. Okay, let me get my measuring. So you fold your cap into two equal parts. And make sure it's folded into two equal parts. So this is what I have. So I'm just going to pin it down. Okay, so you measure from this center here. You measure your head circumference. If it's 11, if it's 12, whatever your head circumference is, you measure it, and you pin and you sew from there all the way down. I hope you understand. Just measure from the middle. Put your cap, place your cap on, fold it into two, then measure your head circumference. So I'm going to be using 11 inches or maybe 10 and a half, either 11 inches or 10 and a half. So I'll pin that part. I'll pin it. Let's say this is it. I'll pin it. So from here, I'll arrange my cap. Then I'll just sew all the way down. So I'm just going to do that. So this is what I have. I've gone ahead to sew, and I'll just cut out the excess. I'm using my zigzag scissors. So I'll just cut out the excess. So the next thing, I'm going to run a gather stitch here. Just from here to here. You're not running gather stitch here. No. From here to here. Pick my needle and thread. So you can go back again to make it strong. Then you secure your thread. Secure your thread. And that's it, guys. We have come to the end of this class. So if you have not subscribed up to this point, if you watch this video up to this point and you have not subscribed, please do well to hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, so that when I post videos every week, you'll be the first to be notified that new video is up. So here is our beautiful cap. It is ready. So this part, if it's too open for you, just use your needle and thread and complete that part. So this is what we have. I'm going to, okay, let me wear it on the mannequin for you to see. So I don't know if you can see it very well here, but you saw it in the beginning, right? Okay, so you saw the video in the beginning. So this is what we have. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye for now.